This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. A federal jury in Virginia has ordered the U.S. military contractor CACI to pay $42 million to 3 Iraqi men who were tortured at the notorious Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. The landmark verdict came after 16 years of litigation, the first time a civilian contractor has been found legally responsible for the gruesome abuses at Abu Ghraib, which included murder, sexual assault, rape, the use of attack dogs, sleep deprivation, prolonged isolation, dietary manipulation, induced hypothermia, mock executions, and the humiliation of prisoners. We're joined right now by Baher Azmy, legal director for the Center for Constitutional Rights, which represented the Abu Ghraib plaintiffs. In these last few minutes we have, Baher, talk about what actually this lawsuit has been about and who wins this multi-million-dollar settlement.
Yeah, this lawsuit has been about justice and accountability for 3 Iraqi men, our clients, Salah, Suhail, and Asa'ad, who exhibited, I think, just awe-inspiring courage and resilience to fight for 16 years and get over every innumerable hurdle CACI threw in its way to deflect responsibility, to have their voice heard by a jury. And as you said, it's also the first time a jury has ever had really the opportunity to review and judge U.S. practices, in this case, by a private military contractor. In the 20 years since 9/11, and despite the horrific number of abuses inflicted on many, many dozens of other torture victims.
I mean, Blackwater is a military contractor, very well known. Explain what CACI, or now known as CACI, did.
Yeah, so
and when was it?
In 2003, CACI was hired by the United States government under a lucrative contractor to provide, quote, expert interrogators in Abu Ghraib, and they sent a number of highly unqualified individuals. The 2 qualified people who were there actually were whistleblowers and told CACI that they were seeing abuses there and needed to leave. And then, as it turned out, in the kind of command vacuum that persisted in Abu Ghraib, it was the CACI interrogators who took control and ordered military police, including military police who were court-martialed and spent time in prison for the very abuses CACI ordered them to undertake, to, quote, soften up detainees, set the conditions, particularly in the night shift. And all our clients suffered the kinds of abuses you regrettably showed on the screen.
So the photos of Abu Ghraib that shock the world, naked prisoners with bags over their heads, piled on top of each other in a human pyramid, as an American soldier, Sabrina Harmon, grins behind them. Her colleague, Charles Grainer, can be seen smiling, giving a thumbs up. Interestingly, Sabrina Harmon testified on behalf of the plaintiffs and broke down on the stand.
Yeah, it was really remarkable and transformative testimony, because she's one of the co-conspirators who was taking direction from military intelligence, including CACI, to harm detainees. And she's somebody who expressed, like a lot of the MPs, just was broken by this experience. And what came out in the trial is military generals who investigated Abu Ghraib and documented sadistic, wanton, systemic abuses were outraged. The military police who were part of the CACI scheme were broken. And the only person who has never taken responsibility is CACI until now.
I want to go to end with one of the plaintiffs, Salah AlAalii, who was on Democracy Now! A decade ago. He talked about his time in solitary confinement at Abu Ghraib.
يعني قضايا التحقيق التي كانت تحدث كل يومين أو 3 أيام يستمر التحقيق لساعة ساعة ونص.
These interrogations that happened every 2 or 3 days would last for an hour and a half, or 2 hours in this manner. The details of the interrogations were different. In some cases, they would bring dogs, then start the interrogation. In other cases, they'd put you in a place and throw cold water or hot tea on you, then start the interrogation. But of course, all the interrogations were conducted conducted while you were kept naked and hooded, and they'd ask you questions to which you answer. I stayed for 40 days in a solitary cell, and 70% of that time I was kept naked.
That's Abu Ghraib prisoner Salah AlAalii. He now lives in Sweden.
He now lives in Sweden, yeah. And just to clarify, the jury awarded each of the plaintiffs $3 million in compensatory damages and $33 million in punitive damages because they saw right through CACI's deflection and finally held them responsible for the egregious and reckless conduct the jury found they engaged in. So it is a small victory in the context of broader human rights efforts in the global war on terrorism that so many people have been involved in over the 20 years, but it's still significant.